Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, February 10th, 2016. I am Dave Biddle in snowy Columbus. I am joined by Bucknuts contributor Jonah Booker from not-so-snowy Phoenix, Arizona. J-Book, how are you doing?
Doing well. Can't complain. 84 and sunny out here in the desert, Dave.
Just rubbing it in. And we're going to get even more snow later today, so... Yeah, we've had a pretty mild winter here in Columbus, but I guess we were due for this, but you're still rubbing it in with this summer weather you guys are having down there. But it's still good news in Buckeye Nation. Across Buckeye Nation, Ohio State picked up a big-time commitment in its 2017 recruiting class yesterday. Four-star defensive tackle Haskett Garrett from Las Vegas. You know, this was interesting on many levels, Jonah. The Buckeyes needed to land at least one big-time defensive tackle to join Jerron Cage in their 2017 class after striking out on so many defensive tackles in their 2016 class. You know, and furthermore, this is what's really cool from my standpoint. This commitment came completely out of the blue, and not just from my perspective or your perspective or Bill Kurlick's perspective or Alex Gleitman's perspective or anybody who follows recruiting. We're told here at Bucknuts, even Ohio State's coaching staff was very surprised. Think about that. Even the coaches were taken off guard that Haskell Garrett gave a commitment to the Buckeyes yesterday. So this is a really exciting and unexpected development for OSU here, J-Book.
This is huge. Big time boom here. You're talking about elite defensive tackle, a guy that fills a position of need. Ohio State missed on a lot of their top 2016 defensive tackle targets, and you get a guy out of Nevada. I don't think Ohio State's ever had a recruit come out of Nevada. But one thing that we have said in the boarding house, Urban Meyer was going to be personally involved in the defensive tackle recruiting for the 2017 class because they couldn't afford to miss on any other guys. And lo and behold, the guy had a conversation with Urban Meyer and commit to him without even stepping foot on campus. Reminds me a lot of the Marcus Ball recruitment. I think this is going to stick too. The guy has said that Ohio State has been one of his dream schools, and if they were to offer, then it would be hard to turn down. And Urban Meyer gives him the offer. Zach Smith goes out there and meets with the coach, and he's been in contact with Larry Johnson. So you have to give credit all around to the Ohio State staff here. It seems to me like it was a group effort. And, boy, what a big-time get this kid is. You're talking about an elite blue-chip D tackle that has the potential to play from day one once he steps foot on campus.
He's 6'2", 280 right now as a high school junior. You have to think he's going to be about 300 pounds by the time he actually suits up for the Buckeyes. And Haskell Garrett is ranked as the number 4 defensive tackle in the country and the number 78 overall prospect in the country in the 2017 class, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite. So, J-Book, the Buckeyes now have 11 commitments in their 2017 class, and they have a big lead over number 2 Alabama. I mean, we're only 11 months and 3 weeks away from signing day, so a lot's going to change between now and then, of course. But it's just great for the Buckeyes. They're off to this crazy start. It's not just a good start or a great start. It's an amazing start. You know, we're talking about, you know, of this class so far, of the 11 guys, 2 of them are 5 stars and 8 of them are 4 stars. So that's 10 of the 11. They're thinking, okay, so the other guy's a 3-star. Not really. The other guy is the number 1 kicker in the country, even though he doesn't have a star ranking yet. And I think if you're the number 1 kicker in the country, you should be like a low 4-star at least, in my opinion. So, you know, that's the one guy who isn't ranked. The 10 guys who are ranked, 2 5-stars and 8 4-stars. Easy to see why these guys are the number 1 ranked class in the country. It's pretty amazing looking at this class.
It truly is amazing. With the 11 guys, Dave, that they have in the 2017 class, that class alone with just at 11 will rank 24th in the 2016 recruiting class and 5th in the Big Ten. Unfortunately, this 2017 class is going to be much smaller than what we've seen in the past. I would absolutely love to see what type of talent they could have brought in if they were able to get up to 23, 24 maybe commits. They say 20 is going to be pushing it. They will have to do some roster management to get up there. A lot of people thinking 17, maybe 18. There's a reason why the recruits and the coaching staff is calling it the Select 17, because at this point they're just going to be picking and choosing, very selective on the guys they're going to bring in. You had a Grimes out of Florida, another 5-star. They're on Donovan People-Jones. Then you look at Okuda, another 5-star that's out of Florida. This class average per rating is just going to be off the charts.
Switching gears and looking at the 2016 Buckeyes this fall, obviously, Jonah, there's a concern at the safety position. I talked about this with Matt Baxendale on Monday's Bucknuts Morning 15-ish or whatever. We really should change the name of the program, by the way, to the Bucknuts Morning 5-ish or the Bucknuts Morning 15-ish or whatever. It's never 5 minutes. Point of the matter is, do you think any Ohio State players will move positions to safety this fall, and who might those players be?
I think you are going to see some guys move. There's been some talk about a Damon Webb may move back there to provide some depth, but a guy that I think that should move back there is Marshon Lattimore, and the reason being is he continues to have hamstring issues. They say he's going to go ahead and be back full tilt once spring ball is in session, but the way Ohio State runs their coverage as far as corners, because they're a man press corner defense, and that really doesn't suit Marshon well with those hamstrings, because you're asking the guy to flip his hips, and from zero to, from point A to point B, they need to get up to top speed, whereas if he was to move to safety, he's playing the field, he's looking to roll around to the middle of the field, he's backpedaling where it's not going to be such a impact on those hamstrings. So the talent is there, but I think you would probably look at maybe a Marshon Lattimore moving back there, not just for depth purposes, but just to keep the guy on the field healthy. Maybe a Damon Webb. Some people threw out Eric Glover-Williams, who may move back there, but I don't like him moving back there to safety at 5'9". I mean, you have some guys that can bring the wood at 5'9", but I would like to see EGW working that nickel slot.
I'm glad you brought up Glover-Williams. I was going to ask you your take on him, so you got that out of the way. So the other guy I hear about that's kind of a dark horse candidate that could move to safety is Parris Campbell. I'm not necessarily buying that because I know Urban Meyer talks him up all the time, and as an offensive player, and Urban Meyer, what's his baby? The offense. So I can imagine Urban Meyer's like, over my cold dead body, you will move Parris Campbell to defense. So, but is that in play? Could they move Parris Campbell to safety, in your opinion?
I think it's going to be contingent on what they're looking at as far as depth-wise. I mean, if they get out there on spring ball and they think Malik Hooker's going to be the guy, and once they throw the pads on and he's out there getting first-team reps and he's not looking what they thought he was going to be, and Cam Burrows is not healthy and Eric Smith is not healthy, it could be a possibility, because one thing that the coaches always say is we want to get the best 11 guys on each side of the football out there on the field. And if there's a situation where it's looking ugly back there at safety, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Parris Campbell, but to start off, he's definitely going to be an offense. They put in a lot of effort and a lot of time developing him and trying to get him up to speed on the offense. So in order for him to move to safety, I think it would have to be an emergency type of situation.
The Buckeyes are losing both starting safeties, but they're also losing both starting wide receivers. And I know they have more depth at wide receiver, Buckeye fans. I get that. But just looking at it, it's not like you can just say, well, I mean, you just move a wide receiver over to safety. It's like, no, the Buckeyes are also replacing both starting receivers in Jalen Marshall and, of course, Michael Thomas, even replacing their starting H in Braxton Miller and Curtis Samuel. I think everybody has him penciled in at H, but he could play running back. He was the backup running back as a true freshman on the national championship team and actually gave Ezekiel Elliott a run for his money. So we'll see what happens, but I agree with you, my man. I think Parris Campbell is going to stay at wide receiver and play some H, but stranger things have happened. We'll see what Urban Meyer decides to do. All right, we'll finish the show with some Ohio State basketball chatter, Jonah. The Buckeyes defeated visiting Northwestern 71-63 last night to move to 15-10 on the season, including 7-5 in Big Ten play. All 5 starters for Thad Matta's crew scored in double figures, so that was pretty cool. What was even cooler, Ohio State with a big-time comeback. Not big time, but a good comeback. They were trailing 33-26 at halftime. Didn't take the lead until there were like 6 minutes left in the game, Jonah. Really finished strong, dominated the Wildcats 45-30 in the second half, and Ohio State actually shot well at the free throw line for a change, 82% to be exact. I can't believe that. That was great to see. That seems like that's about like 50% over the usual average. J-Book, I think it's a foregone conclusion. We're looking at an NIT team here. I hope I'm wrong, but man, next year they could be outstanding. Just your thoughts on the basketball Buckeyes.
Well, against that game against Northwestern, it was about 10 minutes to go, and those guys start turning up the defense. At that point, you can just see how much more athletic Ohio State was. After the make, they was jumping into the full-court press and absolutely just shut down Northwestern to take a win. They needed to get that one, but I agree with you. It's looking like an NIT team. They're very young. So at this point, just get those type of wins. Get those wins against the Northwesterns of the world at home. Make yourself feel a little bit better. But NIT team, next year they're going to be absolutely loaded, but good win for the Buckeyes last night.
Thanks to Bucknuts contributor Jonah Booker for his knowledge. You can read his column Outside Columbus every week on Bucknuts. He's also all over the Front Row message board. You can also follow him on Twitter at jbook37. And thanks to all the listeners for tuning into the show. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. Take it away, best damn band in the land.